Welcome to Cut Ups Film Review, brought to you by Maize Blue Review. We cover Michigan athletics for the Rivals Network, which means you can find us at michigan.rivals.com. Obviously, here on YouTube, we do our live podcasts, and this is one of my favorite series where we have Mr. Stephen Tosky the GOAT, come on and go through his film review, his cut-ups, the clips he thinks are the biggest plays from Michigan's action on Saturday. Tosky joining us, of course. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. It was a beautiful, probably one of the best weather games I've ever been to. Just phenomenal. So really fun day in Ann Arbor and a nice and easy game to watch. It was never in doubt, and lots to learn.
That was the consensus, was just like what a perfect football day it was. So little jealous I didn't get out there. Tell me about the speakers, the sound, the scoreboards, just the vibe in there with the
scoreboards were great. The scoreboards were great. I want to sit down with whoever's in charge of putting the stats on the board, because I feel like they could be doing so much more with all with all the added real estate. So that aspect of me is like, oh, it could be so much better. They had a little bit of a light show because it did get a little bit dark in the second half. So that was cool for like Mr. Brightside. Again, I think they'll continue to add to it, but they can do more. I think it'll be really fun for the night game next week to see what they do with that, with the new lights. I'm an old man, but some of the music was like screeching loud. So I definitely recognize the increase in volume. For a lot of songs, it was really great. Like the added bass is really great, but some songs, again, maybe they are still figuring out the levels, but the what they call it, the treble, right? The highs are a little bit too high, but the bass sounds great. So overall, really cool. I think it was due for an upgrade, and overall, I think they're, kind of like different aspects of the football product on the field. I think they're figuring out some of the media product with the upgrades as well. So
what a transition.
You like that?
That was good. I'm genuinely proud of you. That was awesome. And I ruined it by stomping on it right now, but
you're all good.
All right. So notes taken. I'll pass them along. More aggressive statistics, and let's work on that EQ.
There you go. Yeah. Right? EQ. You got the terminology.
I'm going to bust out some guitars. You hit me with treble, and I'm like, all right, guitar stuff. Now here we go. All right. So we're obviously here to talk football and look at some tape. Michigan with another convincing but still unsatisfying win for this fan base. I think we saw some positives, some improved line play. I thought Corum looked a little better. JJ is still at an incredibly elite level. Again, competition, blah, blah, blah. I get it. We're probably going to show some clips today where just what he's doing, it doesn't matter who you're playing against, right? And shocking, last time we were here, we talked about the sacks eventually coming for the defense, and they have arrived. So any big takeaways for you, Tosky, before we jump into the tape?
I think this is the game where you can start to put together some of the trends that we're starting to see, right? Like one game with JJ McCarthy doing really well. That's just one game. Two in a row where he has over 80% completion rate and looks extremely comfortable. This is a trend that's starting to form. I like the direction, right? You can see the direction of the offensive line. There's things they're doing a little bit better. So you're seeing a lot of the trends going in the right direction. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, is, of course, there are opponent dependent things, but you're still seeing Kenneth Grant get home. You're still seeing a lot of new guys at safety position making some key plays with some of the starters out. So when you start to see those trends and see those things build upon each other game after game, you can start to be a little bit more comfortable with some of the guys where maybe there are question marks, and you can start to kind of form those opinions. So I think run game, especially a lot with like Donovan Edwards, what's going on there. I think there's a lot to delve into in that specifically. And that's, again, a trend. It doesn't mean it's always going to be that way, but these are things that we're starting to see for a couple of weeks that you want to pay a little bit attention to and start to, dig into a little deeper.
Well, let's do exactly that. Let's see it. Let's dig in a little deeper. Show us what you got.
All right, let's start with the defense here. Oh, let's switch to the screen here. Which one do you usually do? This is the layout, right? Okay, perfect.
Sweet.
All right. Starting with defense here early in the first half. And this one I wanted to point out, it's not a big play, right? It's 3rd and 6 early in the game. But this is where the anticipation and youth at safety, I think, show. This is Quentin Johnson. And right, we still have a couple guys out in the secondary. And this is not a big play right now, right? But again, fast forward against Penn State, against those big games. And these are the plays you need to make as a safety. And I think the main things I'm looking at, I'm only looking at Quentin Johnson here in his eyes, right? He's reading the quarterback. Quarterback is loading up, throwing here to just this little sit route, right? Then the whole objective here is sit route, get the first down. That's the whole objective here. And Quentin Johnson is doing a good job with his eyes, but look at his initial path, right? His initial path is forward, and he's a little bit late to recognize where this receiver is, excuse me. So he needs to do a little bit better job of recognizing the eyes, right? He's doing a good job at recognizing that this throw is coming, but then take that initial route towards where the eyes are pointed. And that's just something that's really, really hard to get a good sense of without these game reps. So I'm really happy they're putting them in there, getting those game reps. You can see just 1 or 2 steps wrong, and he sets himself up a little bit more difficultly here to react appropriately to the play. So that's step 1. Step 2 here is, what are the wide receivers' options now that he has the ball in his hand, right? And this is all about body language. Look where his hips are pointed. Look at where he can go from this, right? It's either turn straight up this way or go forward and go this way, right? And that's where you have to understand that as a safety on this trajectory, right? So maybe a couple steps this way, that set him up in a more difficult reaction here, a little bit further away than you may want at the time of catch. But then you have to attack based on those potential movements from this wide receiver. And I think Quentin Johnson just gets a little bit towards the back hip here, right? It looks like his trajectory now is headed towards this back hip. He's expecting this guy to turn immediately upfield, and he doesn't give enough credence, I think, to the open space here that he's leaving by attacking too far this way. So again, these are just really, really minor things, right, of where to attack, how to approach the wide receiver in a scenario like this, and he just attacks it a little bit wrong, right? So just little things like that, again, you look at this play on the surface, it's like, oh, that's an annoying first down, but later on in the season, midfield against Ohio State, against Penn State, in these big close games, those little things matter, right? And those are the little things that are the difference between a team having to punt or them picking up a first down and continuing that drive. So I'm really glad things like this are, again, being put on film, and he's getting those game reps so he can adjust that attack point, those little things that are really, really hard to rep in practice, and just putting that on film is really going to help him develop at that position. So yeah, I don't think there's anything special there. I
was muted.
You were muted.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I picked up right in the spot and dropped the ball there. No, I just wanted to point out, we talked a lot this offseason about Michigan using Junior Colson in the pass rush more.
Yeah.
They bring 5 here on 3rd and medium, and the one route you can't give up is the one they gave up. Right. They're expecting to get home quickly, and they're about to, and you just can't give up that little dig. And yeah, the continuity piece, you see Sainer still make the call. If that's Rod Moore, he's probably right where he needs to be. Right?
Yeah.
So.
And I think this is also the thing where you have to drift a little bit, right? Do little things like doing a little scan, right? Do a little scan with your eyes. Okay, you recognize the quarterback's looking this way. Locate him, right? Locate him. And then start to drift a little bit. Just close that gap just a little bit. And that cuts down so much on the potential of yards after the catch by that guy. So again, just
that was a better throw than I realized when you see this lane that he goes through.
Yeah.
With Jenkins and McGregor coming in. Huh.
Yep. And that's a well-placed ball, right? It allows the wide receiver to make that move after the catch. So yeah, just little things like that. And again, this is why you get these guys the reps, so that they don't make that mistake a second time. And that's how you can better evaluate players, is put in a similar situation. What is his reaction? Is he drifting? Is he taking better angles? Is he breaking down and making that half-second decision, as Dylan Girk says, that half-second of processing? You want to eliminate that as much as possible. So yeah, just little things like that you can pick up on from players who maybe don't have as much experience. Okay, 1st and 10. This, I think, might be the first play that we see out of Braden McGregor. A little sweep play, and Braden McGregor here right away beats the double team. So again, this is opponent dependent, right? These two guys are tasked with taking on Braden McGregor and then likely releasing out to the play side linebacker reacting out. Braden McGregor just splits that difference, right? Attacks the middle of them, right? Between the double team, that's the weakest point, right? Where they're both having to assist. And look at the bodies of these two offensive linemen. They're pointed perpendicular with the line of scrimmage now. And Braden McGregor has all the leverage here to meet this running back on the perimeter on his path towards the sideline. So really great angle, really great dive, good effort there. And you can't make a better play than Braden McGregor there. So, I think he was extremely quiet against East Carolina. Nice to see him make a play here early. And this is the case where like everyone else is doing their jobs, right? Like Junior Colson beats the center out here. He's getting out there. Keyshawn Harris, I think this is they would have been there. So, in terms of other players doing their job on getting there, they're going to be out there on the edge if Braden McGregor doesn't make that tackle. But give a lot of kudos to McGregor for recognizing that, taking a good angle and working through that double team. It's an athletic play.
And I know he doesn't factor into the play, but I love Josiah Stewart not falling for your quad set for 1 second.
Yeah.
As soon as that ball snapped, he's like, "Yeah, see ya.
Yeah,
you're not throwing it over here."
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Boom, I'm out of here. Yeah.
But again, look who's making the call there.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't see that. The little hand motion here out of Mikey Sainer still.
Yeah, he's too good.
Yep, he's saying go, go, go. It's going that way. So that's again film, right? That's little things like that, like film, that can just take away that extra half second, that little bit of processing power. He knows out of this set, right? What do they do? What do they like to do out of quads? Little things that you can pick up from film that just make you more comfortable, make you expect things and have that level of comfort that a veteran like Mike Sainer still can give to the younger guys as well. So that's really cool. All right, now we're at 2nd and 14. And this, I know that you post a lot about the different PFF grades and different things, Trevor, how players rank after a given game. And Kenneth Grant was given a score in like the 50s or something. And I don't really see it. I have so many plays from this one where Kenneth Grant is just doing large man great things. So sometimes PFF, is good, but sometimes I just disagree with them.
I prefer the metrics, like the data that they take, right? Actual pressures that are created.
Sure.
And I could do things relative to snaps and kind of use my own formulas with their data.
Fair.
Because the thing with their grade is we don't know how they come up with it.
True.
Right. So they get this grade and it's like based on what? Right.
Yeah.
And the offensive line the trenches in general seems to be the biggest red flags with that. Sure. The offensive line last year against Penn State was rated like 7th in the Big Ten that week. Like that's not possible.
Right.
So
yeah, like you said, it's good to take things with a grain of salt. No one metric is going to tell the entire story. It's good to take bits and pieces and then, actually watch the film as well, because not every two people are going to grade things the same way either. So yeah, I would give them a much higher grade. And this is a great example of this is just a stretch play. So you have a lot of the offensive linemen here are releasing to their right. And the goal here is just to get around the edge here. And I don't know why the running back decides to cut up here. I think primarily because you had the double team here on Kenneth Walker. This right guard, is releasing out here to the second level. And it looks like a relatively well-blocked play, right? You're blocked. Mike Sainer still's the only guy here not accounted for. The issue is you got Kenneth Grant here working through that double team. He recognizes the play. And I think one of the best attributes of Kenneth Grant, especially for a young player, and this is why Harbaugh said, what was it, God's gift of football between him and Mason Graham. Mm-hmm. He's doing things as a true sophomore that you just don't expect. He's working through a double team here. His eyes are in the backfield. He recognizes this is the trajectory of the play. He has two guys to fight through, but instead he fights kind of on the backside and trusts his skill enough to work back towards the running back and makes contact 2 yards into the backfield. So really impressive work from him to have that level of comfort and trust his eyes, getting them into the backfield, and shows great technique. So really, really scary, his processing level this young.
He's going to be the number one freak on Bruce Feldman's
Yeah.
list next year. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Technique is the story. You and I last year kept saying you can see it. He gets too vertical. He gets straight
Yep.
up the line. And you've seen a massive difference this year where he's maintaining his leverage, good knee bend, and using his weight, his strength, his speed to his advantage, and just tossing dudes out of the way.
Yeah.
Right. Maintaining that leverage, not letting them get him up and losing all of that. He's off to an unbelievable start this year. We knew what Chris Jenkins could be, and which is at this point the Mozzie Smith role, where we're not talking about him a ton.
Sure.
Just, that doesn't mean he's not doing anything. It's just the way the defense works, right?
Yeah.
But Grant and Graham have been, even when you include the edge players, they've been the two best players up front.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
And shout out to Derek Moore here. He does get a late start on this one. It takes a beat for him to get going here, but he does reset this offensive tackle a bit into the backfield. So ultimately that doesn't really give a path for the running back and forces him back to the inside. So Derek Moore is doing a good job there, blowing back the right tackle there, dissuading the running back from any sort of outside lane there. And that's kind of what forces him back into Kenneth Grant there. So yeah, not much.
We've come a long way from the Don Brown defensive tackle
case. And there's a play that we'll cover later with Cam Good and Kenneth Grant, I think, combining on a sack or something, where it's like these are two legit 330 plus guys screaming through the backfield. And it's like, yeah, the days are gone of, bless his heart, but Ben Mason is not a defensive tackle. He was never supposed to be one. And we're past the point where he has to be that guy. And we have able-bodied large men doing athletic things that they probably shouldn't be doing at that size, but it's excellent to see. All right, we're on offense, and it is mainly the JJ McCarthy show, but this is a play I wanted to show where a big question for me, again, is how much of the offensive success is because especially through the air, is because of the reaction to the run versus just JJ McCarthy doing things. I think it's a little column A, a little column B, but it's also important to see how is the defense reacting to play action. And again, you look right at the mesh point here, right? This is where the play action is happening. And how many bodies do you have for UNLV reacting quickly, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can I count 8? That's eight bodies, right? That are all moving in this direction right away. So, and you have to consider what time of the season is this for UNLV and for Michigan as well, right? What's the story of the offseason? Michigan has Donovan Edwards. Michigan has Heisman favorite of last year before injury, Blake Corum. And Michigan's going to run the ball. They're going to establish the run. We need to shut them down, right? How much time do you think UNLV spent in the offseason game planning for the run? And I think we saw that with ECU even more so, but that was the team's identity coming into this year. So it's natural to see this reaction upon a fake to Blake Corum. And I think the key aspect of this play is now these linebackers have to be thinking, oh crap, right? They got, right? Here's the fake. You got JJ McCarthy backing up. They need to run like hell to get back into their coverages, right? Because they have pass responsibilities as well. So this, instead of being a little bit more with trepidation, instead of acting with trepidation here and then drifting back, able to keep his eyes in the backfield, he has to look and fly back towards Colson Loveland on his route. And that opens up the flat tremendously because of how out of position that linebacker was because of the play action. So no, this isn't a run play, right? But the run, the respect for the run will open up a ton for you, right? This is a 20-yard pickup because of the reaction of those linebackers. That outside linebacker who's flying back to cover Colson Loveland, this is Barner here. This guy flying back out here is only possible because of how far these guys reacted immediately to the run fake. So those are certain aspects where it's like, are you concerned about the run game? Are you concerned about the lack of, I don't think one of our running backs have had over 100 yards. I know Donovan Edwards had like 10 yards, right? But there's these things where this is only possible because of how terrified the second level is of the run and how much they have to react to plug those holes to not give much in the run game at all. So that's my take. And that's not the only issue, right? That doesn't explain away certain aspects of the offense, but that's a big component that you have to take into account. And this is essentially a run, right? Like it is a pass. It goes in the column as passing yards, but this is a way to get the ball into your running back's hands through a pass that, is only opened up because of your past successes on the ground.
Yeah, we've talked about it, but it's good to show it. ECU did it probably more than UNLV, but they're selling out for the run. Like you said, linebackers, as soon as there's any sign of run, shoot a gap.
Yep.
Right. And that's why it's the TCU thing. We've actually seen some 3-3-5. From defenses that normally don't run it. Like that's the game plan, what TCU did, and you hope to force JJ McCarthy into mistakes.
Yep.
What's happening is he's not making any mistakes, right? And especially the short and intermediate routes. So basically everything from 0 to 19, you're emptying those gaps out by bringing all your linebackers up and allowing JJ to feast, right? This is more of, obviously getting a running back out in the flat, but I don't think this will continue, especially against better opponents. But for right now, I do think some of the other running issues can be tied to some line cohesiveness. Donovan maybe not being as patient. We can get into that.
Yep.
But as long as teams are going to do this, okay, right? Michigan's winning. I know you'd love to see JJ throw for 300, Donovan and Blake both get 100, and the offense not miss a beat. But sometimes you just got to take what the defense is giving you.
Sure. And remember last game, or I don't know if it was last year or the year before. The years are all blended together at this point. But the game against Washington where Michigan ran for, 350, 400 yards because of how deep the safeties were playing, right? They were giving a ton of room on the ground for Michigan, and Michigan took advantage. And
they had 2 NFL corners.
Right. And a lot of the response from that was, wow, the running game's really good, but what does the passing game look like, right? What I'm worried about the pass game. At a certain point, you got to give what the defense, exactly what you said, Trevor, you got to give what the defense gives you. And at this point, teams are really respecting the run. It's fine to have open questions, to have concerns yet. Again, it's 2 games. So we'll see. All right, and immediately after that, I'm going to bring up a run play issue here. And this one, I think Blake Corum definitely had rust game 1. This is, I think, a really good display of a lack of patience, and I think that's one of the key themes that we see here. This is a relatively well-blocked play. Patience gets him pretty far here. And what do I mean by that? So this is a longer developing power play where you're pulling your right guard, right? Zinter does a really good job sealing this edge defender here. And then you got Bredesen coming from the H-back position. He's picking up the second edge defender here coming off the edge. And there's a good block from Zinter, right? Gets his outside shoulder, turns that defender. Really great block, creates a big gap there for Bredesen. Really clean alley for Bredesen to get his block. And Bredesen isn't doing a bad job here, but Blake Corum needs to wait just a bit. This is longer developing when you have 2 pulling players across your center here. You need to be patient and let this play develop. So look at the point right now. That's where Blake Corum is making his decision, right? He's committing. And that allows this defender, it gives him information. Information on defense is everything. That's how you make your decision on where to go, how to react. That gives you the key to make a play. So by Blake Corum committing early here, he can dive back inside before the block gets there, and it gets him that knowledge of which shoulder to have free, right? He has outside contain here because you have a linebacker here for this hole. You do. This is this linebacker's responsibility. This guy has outside contain generally. But because Blake Corum commits a little bit early, he can abandon that and put his nose towards the ball because Blake Corum lets him know where it's going. Right. So there's one instance where it's really rare to say, Blake Corum, hey, you need to be a little bit more patient, but that's what happens there. That guy makes first contact and you don't give Bredesen enough time to make an effective block. If Blake Corum just takes one additional hop step here, right, he can allow Bredesen to make that block. This guy is already committed, right? This guy would have a really, really tough time getting to the outside if Bredesen's able to make this block. This guy would have to come up and fight through this and look at what you have to the outside, right? You have Cornelius Johnson running off his corner and the safety. That's a lot of room for Blake Corum. So, again, this is one thing where both running backs had multiple instances of this where don't make the defender's job easy. And this is making the defender's job a lot easier. So there's still rust to be dusted off. Again, we know what Blake Corum can do. I'm not overly worried about that. We've seen enough to where we can expect him to get back to what he showed he can do all of last year. But yeah, just patience. It needs to be there a little bit more. So it's another thing I wonder about how much coaching is Mike Hart able to dedicate with being some of the head coach duties, right? It's a big moment for him. And there's certain aspects of that job that take away from your ability to get in the ear of your running backs. So again, that's not necessarily an excuse, but there's only so much time guys can spend on any given day. So just these little things, right? This play is there, right? Everything is here. It just takes one little adjustment here for this to bust big. And that's what you want to see. It's not A, B, and C. It's just A. And when A is your Heisman favorite from last year, just dusting off some rust, you're in a better spot than it may appear than just a 1-2 yard gain.
Yeah, I feel like we watched this play a lot last year, and Corum plants that right leg and pushes and cuts outside. Right. Yep. It goes now. And the other thing too, this is one where if I want to start nitpicking, like I want Barnhart to know you've already pushed this guy over. You've done your job.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move to the next level. Like you can see them. I always talk about like that tilt, right? The line's not straight. They're rotating it. They're willing to let those guys go high because he's supposed to cut at that diagonal angle. So once you've already pushed that dude into the walls of other guys, you're good. Go to the next level. Right.
Sure. Yep.
And again, I think you can do that on a lot of these plays where that's where I think it is with the O-line. I'm glad they know better than me who the top five are. These are their best five. They seem to be settling with them. I think that's the smart move. Yep. The more they play together, because Barnhart, although he started a lot last year, this is a new position for him.
Yep.
Right. But no, you're 100% right. Just a little pause there, and he knows which shoulder to go to.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just micro adjustments, right? And that's across multiple position groups you expect with time. And again, it's not like these guys are all young. They're experienced. So being able to gel as a unit now that, as you said, now that the starting five is there, it's again, just seeing those occurrences and those little micro adjustments to happen. So JJ McCarthy, we mentioned him, just absolutely dynamite, right? And it's little things like this. I credit CBS for a number of different angles here. This was just waiting for a window, and 3rd and 8, we finally get to see a little bit of Tyler Morris here. Nice to see that connection. And this is what I like to call gravity in a defense. And what I mean by that is Colson Loveland is I should know, like, what's the biggest gravitational pull in the solar system? What is it? Probably Saturn or something, right? I don't know, but he's Saturn.
I didn't study for that.
He's Saturn here. I was an engineer, so I have no excuse here. But look at the gravitational pull that he has here, right? And his route is just to sit at the sticks. So the routes, I think this is a deep post. Colson Loveland, or maybe is that actually Barner? Anyway, you have 2 deeper crossing routes here between Tyler Morris and Roman Wilson, and your tight end is going to stick right at the sticks there. Yeah, so that's AJ Barner, excuse me. And the main thing that JJ McCarthy is looking at is right at this junction, right? Because this is going right at the sticks. That's where he wants to go, maybe a little bit not as deep as that. But he wants to see what's the reaction here, right? You got a lot of bodies right in that area, and their reaction to that little sit route is going to tell JJ McCarthy where to go with the ball. He's able, and there's probably a couple spots that he could have gone with this ball. You could argue that maybe Roman Wilson would be coming open here, but his path would be impeded by this linebacker, and that's potential for an interception. So although there's a lot of space here, you have to think, where is the path of the flight of the ball? And he never really gets here. This doesn't seem like his first read. So he's looking right here, and I think he's getting to the point where he's recognizing, hey, when there's two defenders in the same area, that's got to mean something good, right? So he's recognizing, hey, they're both on this. That means there's got to be an area that's going to be open here that I should focus in on. And that's exactly what he does. And this is, it's not an easy window. You need to have a pretty strong arm to fit it in there, right? Because this linebacker is also starting to react over to that. So you can't dilly-dally with that throw. And I like how he positioned this ball low, where you're going to have a safety coming up, right? He probably recognizes there's a safety over the top. If you put that ball high, right, you're what do they call them, the hospital hit or whatever, you're setting up your wide receiver really poorly in that sort of scenario. So they can be dangerous throws to set up your wide receiver really poorly. It's 3rd and 8. What's the objective? Get a nice, safe completion and move on from there. So really great throw, really catchable ball, and it allows your wide receiver to cradle that and be protected across the middle. So he's comfortable, right? This is a fully deployed JJ McCarthy, and he's continuing what we saw last week into this game as well.
Yeah, so after bringing 6 or 7 guys, they're down there only going to bring 3, drop everybody back, and think they're going to make a play. And JJ, like you said, just calm, cool in the pocket, knows exactly what's going on, excellent footwork. And let's be clear, he can't see the receiver.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's, like you said, he's reading the play and knowing that's going to be the area. And that's just a ridiculous throw.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the perfect window. So this is like the game's slowing down, right?
God, he looks like Ronnie Bell.
You're right.
It's
yeah.
So
I thought about that the entire game. And this is where trusting your wide receiver, right? Going back to high school, I think there was a quote where like they close their eyes and they know where each other's going to be or something like that. You're right. It's really hard to see that wide receiver. This is trust, right? This is knowing the playbook, knowing your wide receiver, having that connection, and trusting that he's going to be there, right? Because all you can see is defenders. So you have to understand the negative space that's going to be here as you're looking at that. And that's just a level of understanding and calmness that JJ McCarthy brings because the game is slowed down that much. So really cool.
I'd love to know the speed on that.
Yeah.
He loaded twice before he threw it. But real quick, Mark is correct. The answer is Jupiter.
Jupiter. Yeah, there we go. There's
Other
our
than black holes, of course. But
yeah. Oh, there we go. All right, there's our science lesson of the day. Thank you, Mark. Mark Majkowski. Majkowski. I should know this. That's a Polish last name. Ostentowski's very Polish as well.
He probably just goes by Kowski.
There you go.
Yeah, you go by Toski. So.
Yeah, it's too complicated. That's why. This is probably my second favorite pass on the day. So a little play action again. And again, before we even get into the pass, gravity, right? What are we talking? We're talking about Jupiter. This is Jupiter. Look at this. All these guys are flinging themselves. They're within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, 3 linebackers because of play action, right? That just sets you up so well. Intermediate throws, right? Look at all this space. There's so much space in the middle of the field because of that space. So I really like this pass primarily because of the resetting of the pocket. We saw it on one particular play. You'd like to see Bredesen do a little bit better job. I'd say he does admirably. You got a free rusher off the edge here. It's not an easy block for Bredesen coming across sort of a split zone look, right? That's what the play action is selling, that this is a split zone run. So it's a tough block. And it's good recognition of JJ McCarthy again, he doesn't even look at the rush, but he feels it, and he's able to reset his feet here. 1 shuffle, 2 shuffle, boom, steps into the throw. Still really good technique on the throw, right? That's right on the number. That's where you want that ball to be. So really good job from him. Good route here from Rowan Wilson. Nothing special, right? Not the best technique out of this defender, right? If you're a defensive back coach, you probably want him turning his hips inside and then cutting this way instead of turning all the way around. That's a lot more difficult to react to this pass effectively. You're rounding out your.
Do you think he thought he was going in or something? Like, I didn't understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, like
I'm not sure. It's probably just poor. I think it's just poor technique. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, the ball, wasn't
a good hit, but
wasn't put on a line, but it's good hands here from Rowan Wilson. I think we saw on a couple catches last week as well, having strong hands, able to absorb that hit has really solidified Rowan Wilson into a great wide receiver. I mean, he's second in the league thus far in touchdown receptions. So there's a reason you could argue, become the favorite target of JJ McCarthy, and he's dependable. So yeah, overall good pass protection. I think you could argue Barnhart needs to do a little bit better job here as well. Good initial hand fighting here, needs to stay engaged, right? At this point, the defender has won. So it's good that McCarthy's getting the ball out now, because Barnhart lost after the initial hand fight. So he didn't, lose this immediately, but you never want your quarterback to be looking at the face of an edge defender, and that is what happens here. And you also have to think that likely affected the trajectory of this pass as well, right? Because of this defender right here, you can't really throw this on the line. You can't, because you need to get it up in the air, because this guy's likely going to jump, right? So I was questioning why this pass was a little high, right? It took a little bit longer to get there than you would expect from JJ McCarthy. I think that's the reason why. If Barnhart stays on that, you're able to deliver that ball on a rope, and that's a lot of room for Roman Wilson to potentially make a move and cut upfield. So again, little things like that, where if it's against a better defense, maybe that cornerback has better technique and can potentially get a pass breakup. So that's like little things that you want Barnhart to do a little bit better on, to ensure that your quarterback can make the most effective throw with all that space for your wide receiver.
You've talked about the throwing piece. I do want to touch on just, again, JJ going next level here. This is under center, and he just sells the hell out of that handoff, right? That's the progression, right, of becoming a better quarterback. Like, we could go back and look at some other clips, but God, I wish I remembered there was a game on Saturday where they specifically talked about, like, if you're not fully extending that arm out and really selling that, the play action's not going to work.
Sure.
Right. And then, yeah, again, just the way he moves the pocket, just elite in the pocket this year. His awareness and calmness, like, he's not running out as quick anymore.
Right.
I feel like this is a play where maybe right about here, he starts running left and tries to throw it on the run.
Yeah.
He just shuffles a step to the side, makes the throw. And yeah, Roman had to sit down a little bit. I didn't notice that before. So I'm glad you pointed that out, the way that that end kind of affected the trajectory of the pass.
Yeah. And I like to look at, you mentioned the technique. Every step here is with purpose for McCarthy. He's really excellent. You recognize when he has to go off script here, right? He's getting ready to set up in the pass. As soon as he recognizes, hey, I need to duck out a little bit, but then he has good technique. So he recognizes this is the athleticism, right? To, instead of I'm in my normal drop back here after play action, I have to shift, shuffle. He's not able to step right into the throw because of the defender coming up into him here. So, but he has to take a little bit off the ball. He has to put it a little bit higher as a result of that. And it's still a super accurate ball. So again, there's no wasted movement there. And that shows a different level of comfort as well. Okay. Let's take a look. 1st and 10 here. Michigan continues to drive. This was an interesting play. And this is where you do miss a Ronnie Bell, right? Because
wide receiver blocking.
That's another theme. And there's one thing I'll mention here that, and again, we don't want to call out any single player for this, but I think Cornelius Johnson's getting a little bit frustrated. I called it out in the second part of my analysis last week, where he kind of like ducked a little high five to Roman Wilson after a touchdown. There was another instance today on Roman Wilson's touchdown that I saw on the sideline. I was at the game. I don't think it got on the broadcast, where he's going for another high five. Cornelius Johnson wasn't giving it to him. And then this is the action that Roman Wilson did. Like, it was salt, and then like threw salt at Cornelius Johnson. So so there's like, and it seems friendly. It seems like friendly banter, but there are certain aspects of there's probably some frustration going on. So when it comes to that, what do you do to make up for that, right? If you're not able to get the touchdowns, you're able to make up for it with your blocking, right? And that's something where you will continue to see playing time if you make good blocks as a wide receiver. And especially when you have guys like Tyler Morris, who are extremely comfortable with JJ McCarthy, things like that. Again, I'm not trying to speculate here or anything, but if you're not making these blocks, that's a play killer, right? Because you look at everything else on this play and it's blocked for a touchdown pretty much. You have Khalil Mullings going out. He could block the safety, right? If you get this block here, you got a good block here. You're releasing, I don't know if this is Barner, but you have everybody here to make this a really successful play. You would like to see a little bit better on the offensive line here, where you want Miles Hinton to be able to keep this guy inside. There's another, I think it's this guy who gets into the backfield, right? So a couple linemen get into the backfield here that you really should be able to pin down and give your tight end Loveland here a little bit clearer of a path. But regardless, he's able to beat that to the outside. You have the blocks, you have the bodies to get out to the second and even third level. This is the key block. If you get that block, that's all it takes, right? And you, like Mullings, able to get out here, and Loveland able to follow these blocks as well to make a move around this block. And that's just not there. So there's little things like that, right? If you're frustrated, if you're not getting the touches or the touchdowns that maybe you want, take that out on the defender, right? And again, I'm not saying that's what's going on in Cornelius Johnson's head, but it's difficult to continue to put him on the field if he's not able to pick up this block. And it's not close, right? That's difficult. That's difficult because that goes from a huge potential touchdown play. I'd argue it's for sure getting inside the 10 if that block is made, to then a loss. And again, this is UNLV. It's not going to matter much in this game, but those are the sort of effort plays that will continue to get you playing time or possibly cost you playing time to some of the younger guys who will go all out for those blocks. So again, it's one play. It's one play, and the reactions I were describing on the sideline could be all in good fun and not have any relevance. So I don't have all of the context. I'm not in the locker room or anything to make those distinctions, but they're tidbits, right? That's all we have are these tidbits. And they're important when determining how can we best make this play effective. And if your play hinges on Cornelius Johnson blocking to the outside, you're going to be less confident now because this is on film.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his thought was there, letting the defender pick the lane on him, basically. Some people get through the O-line. We've talked about that a little bit, about how specifically the strategy of the defense, the way they're shooting gaps. I do like how Hinton resets here.
Yeah.
You know, he does whiff on this initial one, but come back. And if Cornelius has his block, this second effort by Hinton right here is a big factor in what springs that run. So
yeah, 100%.
You know, I appreciate that reset there. And then, like you said, Mullings is doing a good job getting deep. It's one reason they like him in the run game, right? Sure. If he is arguably RB3 right now, that could be why. But yeah, that's not even missing a block. That's just, I don't know. It's uncharacteristic, but it's also a piece of, and again, you and I talk about this all the time. We're not trying to pick on anybody, whatever, sure. But it's that inconsistency, right? That's really plagued CJ. And he is off to a great start. He has the same number of catches as Roman. He's just a few yards behind. It's 5 touchdowns versus 0.
Right. And again, this is one play. I think there were a couple of plays last week where there were things where Roman Wilson could clean that up, but he does a really great job. And I'd argue a more difficult job here on the outside. He stays on this block the entire play, right? Boom, stays engaged, and he's blocking all the way to the end of the play. So again, these are things that are going to earn you more playing time, and he's blocking through the whistle. So that's great, right? And that's a standard that you need to set in that wide receiver room, that, hey, if you want to be on the field and on the field consistently, right? Not just for the big pass plays that we know Cornelius Johnson can, in the Ohio State game last year, especially, can show that ability. If you want to be an every down sort of guy that we can depend upon, those are the sort of things you need to show.
He also had a huge block on one of those Edwards runs. So
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just about consistency here. Okay. 3rd and 7. This one, I really like this run from Corum, where again, there are times for patience. There's times for patience and there's times to go. And Blake Corum appropriately decided this was time to go. And this is another aspect where we talked about gravity, right? Look at the gravity that JJ McCarthy commands here. So you have a safety. This is another defensive back, and you have the edge defender here. Because of this mesh point, they have to wait just a little bit, right? And what did we say earlier? Information is key on defense. If you have to wait for the information, right, of who's keeping the ball here, right? They're all waiting. They're all still trying to decide, is he going to keep it? Is he going to give the ball? That extra step, right? Look how late these guys are to recognizing, oh, wait, JJ McCarthy doesn't have the ball here. It's going straight up the middle to Blake Corum, right? That creates this crease because of their hesitancy. So it's probably a bit of a misplay, because when two guys are in the same exact area, something's probably going wrong on defense. So it's not the cleanest from the defenders, but that's something that when JJ McCarthy has the full green light to turn this into a read and not just hand off most of the time, good things are going to happen. Really good blocks overall on this play. I'd like to see AJ Barner doing a great job setting that left side of the hole right here. You're coming across the formation here. Again, this is what you would call split zone, right? Really good job. It's not the greatest block, right? To be honest, it's not the greatest block here from Colson Loveland, but he gets in the way. And that's the main thing, right? Don't let that guy through, makes contact. That's all you need. And then really good combo block, especially here from Keegan. Like to see Barnhart stay a little bit more engaged here, but 1-2 block here. And then you have Keegan releasing out to the second level. They both do extremely well. There's the initial pop. Again, you like to get a little bit more, but Barnhart does stay engaged. So he does his job, and there's Keegan getting to the second level, 77. Again, look at the turn of the hips, right? At this point, you let this guy go, right? You continue, look at his feet, continue upfield. This guy wants to turn around and go. Guess what? You're not catching Blake Corum on that path. And then I think that's that's Cornelius Johnson doing a much better job, right? Getting downfield. Good effort from him. So even though, again, he's not making contact immediately, he's getting out there. And this guy is reading Cornelius Johnson's path, right? And that's affecting his trajectory as well. So even though Cornelius Johnson maybe doesn't pick up the biggest block here, his effort on getting out there is affecting that defensive back. And that's, as a wide receiver, if you're not expected to be the best blocker, but affect the play, right? Affect those defensive backs and their movement. And that's what's happening there. So overall, you got about the maximum on this play, right? And Blake Corum, he does that one little hop step here, and then boom, recognize the hole, and he goes, steps on it, right? Uses that acceleration. So good job getting the maximum on this play, I feel like. And nice pickup, sets you up inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, nice reminder too. Michigan's still running a pretty vanilla offense in these games, right? This is a little bit of a tendency breaker against UNLV. That zone scheme is like the bread and butter of Michigan's run game, right? So tried to use a sellout against him on 3rd and 7. Good move by Corum. I like some of the blocks here, pick on him a lot, gets his guy out of the way right away. So yeah, it's just this is what the run game can do when everybody does their job.
Yep. All right, moving forward here. So I think the next play, I think Michigan barreled into the end zone, so it was a massive humanity. We'll get to some other goal line plays here, but we're back to Kenneth Grant taking souls, just being too quick. His speed into the backfield here is, again, he's a star. You would argue that he's already a star, and this is a clever little stunt, I think, between Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, so the two young guns. You have Mason Graham attacking right here. Attack this A gap. Get both the guard and center to pay attention right here. Attack that gap between them, and that opens up Kenneth Grant. Right. Look at what that does to the right guard on this attack there. He's way upfield. He is past the play, and now you have Kenneth Grant coming behind Mason Graham there on this little stunt, and he is accelerating upfield. So clever little stunt there. And I think this is, what you would call an RPS win, where the stunt really played into the run play here for UNLV. But you got to execute it. And Mason Graham, I like to call this just being the fullback, right? Just occupy, make some chaos on the offensive line. And he does a really good job making it very difficult for the offensive lineman to stay engaged with Kenneth Grant. And Kenneth Grant is, oddly enough, too fast for the offensive line to react at that size. So I don't know what else you can say about that. You have number 8 here. You have Derek Moore setting a really good edge. Again, look how far he displaced that defender into the backfield, right? There is no edge because Derek Moore gets that depth, right? Resets the line of scrimmage 2 yards in the backfield here. Where's that running back going to go, right? He can't really effectively go to the outside. Good arm extension as well. Derek Moore is owning this interaction with the offensive tackle. He is dictating where this play is going to go indirectly. And the running back has to go back into the waiting arms of a mammoth man and Kenneth Grant.
That's funny. Oh, yeah, nothing I can add to that. It's just, I love when Michigan has all 3 defensive tackles on the field.
It's so fun.
Yeah, that 5-man front. I know that this gets debated whether it's a 3-4 over and we're calling the edge defenders linebackers, or if that's a 5-man front, but whatever. When I have Harrell and Moore and then Jenkins, Grant, and Graham out there,
good luck.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Seriously, good luck. And every year I put out a list of like the breakout defenders. Kenneth Grant, I had a reply tweet to it. I said Kenneth Grant would be on this list. I don't think his role will be big enough. And I was mainly questioning his durability, his ability to be well conditioned, to be in there outside of, to be an every down back. And they're running stunts with him on 3rd down, on pass rush. They have him on 1st down, 2nd down. He's 340 and he's well conditioned and he's moving like this. And it's crazy. He exceeded my expectations already. And that's on top of already the lofty expectations we have for Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. Or I'm sorry, Mason Graham and Chris Jenkins. So it's incredible to watch. Okay, here we go, 3rd and 13. This is what we wanted to see from our edge position, right? I think all last week, where are the edges? Where are the edges? Derek Moore showing that that's there, right? It's just a matter, again, consistency. And he fires out quicker. I mean, you could argue it's pretty similar to like when Yabi Oki would flash once in a while last year, right? That sort of get off that speed that wouldn't show up that often, but he is out like a cannon. And again, there are opponent dependent things, there are opponent independent things. I don't know many tackles that can react to just the quickness in which he gets upfield here.
The Chiefs' right tackle.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. If he lines up 4 yards in the backfield, we'll see.
It's going to take me a while to get over that. The entire game, dude.
The entire game.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I think, again, it's consistency. You can see where he just times this really well. And earlier in the game, I said there was a time where Derek Moore, maybe didn't time the snap as well. When he can and when he does, again, really good technique and really good speed, right? Maybe not an elite bend that you see out of a guy like Uche or guys in the past here. But when you have this sort of get off and this speed vertical, and he has plenty of bend here, right, to get to the quarterback with authority, right? It's not like he's barely getting a piece of him. He drags him down hard. So yeah, just really, really good job from him getting off the line of scrimmage quickly. And that's what we need to see consistently. And if he can continue to string that sort of pass rush together with the defensive tackles that Michigan has through the years, it's a scary sight.
I can't remember what his weight is now, but we kind of assumed Derek Moore was going to get up to, he's 258. Okay. We assumed he was going to get up to 290.
Yeah.
And probably move into a Mike Morris 2021 like role where he's the strong side edge, but he can move inside. Arguably he's the Jenkins backup. Like that was just kind of the assumption. He loses 21 pounds, and this is, like you said, what you get. When good launch, good speed. Love his angle here.
Yeah.
Good balance. I mean, that's just
he
does that all the time. That's what you want from that strong side, right?
Yeah. And again, if you put in a better offensive line, do they do a little bit better with this? Sure. Like that's not a great kick step from your left tackle.
Look at Hinton again, though, man. Like the QB's got nowhere to go because look at this pressure up the middle.
Yeah, Grant is
even if he wants to potentially run up the gap, there's no chance.
Yeah, Grant is getting there. Yeah, you got Rashawn Berry working through double or just completely struck to that guy. You don't have a lot. So yeah, it's really, really fun, and that's sort of what we want to see out of the edges. So Derek Moore, if you can continue to put that together, that's great for the future of Michigan's pass rush here. This again, good improv, right? We saw this last week. This is very reminiscent of the touchdown pass that was maybe over the line of scrimmage.
Except he's actually behind the line this time.
Except this one's actually a really good, a fair pass that the refs don't have to question. So this one maybe a little bit squirrely here for JJ McCarthy, right? He's starting to recognize the pressure. I think he is starting to dance around a little bit early here. But he probably doesn't like what he sees either. There's not a whole lot that's coming open. You could argue right here if he looks to his left, he could find an open Tyler Morris a little bit earlier. But I think that he's feeling the pressure. He sees a lane, and it's 3rd and 6, right? So he's starting to think, okay, time to run. But the thing I like here is, again, I feel like in the past, he would have just decided, okay, at this point, I'm running. Right, I am running the ball, 3rd and 6. I see the first down marker. I'm going to make it work. Excuse me. And this is where having that previous connection with Tyler Morris through the years is really helpful. Right, this little and it's clever. Right, he recognizes right here. He sees and knows JJ McCarthy's path here. Watch the eyes here for Morris. Look downfield. Boom. Just does a quick scan, tries to find open area, and then redirects. And then he looks directly back to make sure JJ McCarthy, right now, boom, they're looking at each other. They have an understanding of this open space. And that just comes from comfortability working with each other, knowing when and how to find an open area in these sort of scramble drills and how to redirect yourself and make yourself available to the quarterback. So it's really smart. Dylan Kirk says Ronnie Bell, right? Like, yeah, it's a heady play from a young player. And again, because Tyler Morris and JJ McCarthy, that connection goes back years and years. So them being able to show that out here for Michigan and show that level of comfortability working together is really cool and really smart, heady play from Tyler Morris. That'll only get him more playing time as he is presumably fully healthy now. So yeah, just good job keeping your eyes downfield and good job from a young wide receiver finding the open space.
We've said it before. That was probably the thing Ronnie was the best at, right? When JJ was extending plays. And I know it's a little thing, but this wasn't always the case last year. Morris and Loveland know where the sticks are.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like they're running at the sticks. I really, and I think that's JJ's difference too, is like, he wants a first down.
Right.
Like maybe he hits that check down to Donovan. I don't know. But I like that the receivers are aware of the sticks They adjust to the play, like you said. JJ, even when he is leaving the pocket, still has this calmness about him. It just feels different this year. It really does.
Yeah.
Again, early, weaker opponents. I get it, but I think something that's kind of been lost in all this is these two opponents are much better than the two non-conference last year.
That's a good point. Yeah,
right?
those
Like,
guys
that doesn't get talked about a lot, but like UConn, not so much. But Colorado State and Hawaii were decimated teams. Man.
Yeah,
those were two of the 10 worst teams in college football last year.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a good point. I felt for Donovan Edwards a lot in this game because I felt like sometimes he got a raw deal. What was it? 6 carries, 9 yards or something. But sometimes, and I don't really want to break down this play all that often because sometimes you just don't have the numbers, right? And what do I mean by that is sometimes there's just more bodies than there are blockers. And sometimes that's just how it works, where you have, let's count them off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you got 6 against 6 here, but then they were adding another guy immediately by bringing the safety down, right? As soon as the snap comes, right, they're essentially adding a 7th guy to the box right now. And you look at everyone at the line of scrimmage here, they're getting out to the second level, right? This is relatively well blocked. Maybe it wouldn't go huge, right? But if this guy is in pass coverage or backing up here, there's a lot of space here for Donovan Edwards to go out. So give a lot of credit here to UNLV. They won the call here, right? And sometimes there's just an extra guy, an extra defender there. And that's what happened on this particular play. So are there probably certain things about this play that we could get into? Yeah, probably. Like, it wasn't the cleanest blocked play, but when it's 6 blockers against 7 defenders, it's not always going to work out. And I felt like Donovan Edwards was kind of encountering those scenarios more so than Blake Corum. It didn't have as many opportunities to take advantage of how the play was developing in front of him. So not a whole lot that I have to break down on this play, more than just like sometimes the defense has the better call. And I think that's just what this is meant to show.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to come off like making excuses or anything, but we talked about JJ last year getting a late start to fall camp and some of the rust that came with that. We're seeing the opposite now after he had a full healthy offseason, right? Donovan was not healthy this offseason, rehabbing, didn't contribute in spring, didn't do a ton in summer, really to get hit in the fall, right? He's got to get used to playing football again. And also, frankly, just his game, 1st and 10 in the first quarter isn't when Donovan Edwards is usually breaking his biggest runs.
Sure.
Right. So, like you said, trends are developing. There's been 2 games. Let's see another non-con. Let's see when we get into the conference schedule. Corum seemed to make a big jump from 1 to 2. Be interested to see Donovan another game or 2, how he's looking.
Yeah. And I think the other thing here is if this is a live read, what I mean by live read is JJ McCarthy could keep this to the outside. Yeah. This guy's screaming up, right? This guy's screaming up. If this is a true read and you're reading the edgemost non-blocked defender, right? This is kind of that
a great point.
Defender that's flying up here. If you're reading him and his body language is screaming towards the line of scrimmage, a keep here is going big, right? Block here. This guy's abandoning here. Like, a keep here for JJ McCarthy would go really far. But that's something that, again, you're not going to want to do that a whole lot against UNLV. And the live reads weren't there. So that's how you get that advantage back, right? Where it's like, what's the answer? The answer is you run your quarterback, but not against UNLV. So again, you're kind of playing with one arm tied behind your back, where you don't necessarily want to put a quarterback in danger way, a la Jake Tuttle or Jack Tuttle, Jake Tuttle. Why do I always have this issue with?
It was Thaw. It was Thaw last week, but yeah.
But no, I'm talking about later in this game.
No. I just mean you with your Jake and Jack struggles.
Yeah. But yeah, you don't want to put your quarterback in.
What do you think about? I know you didn't want to hang up on this too much, but multiple comments about Edwards going right here.
Ooh, let me see. Yeah, see, that's really tough because the play is meant to be, like, to me, when I'm sort of reading like where the play is meant to go. You have a double here to get out to the linebacker. I don't see anyone releasing towards the backside backer. So to me, this is meant to run off of this double here and off of this block. And because of the way that your quarterback is facing here, supposed to be reading this. So I think this play is like designed to be reading this defender and either giving here to go this way if this edge player plays the quarterback keep, right? And then you're blocked here through linebacker, and they're hoping this guy would be caught up in the backwash. Like they're not really sending a guy out there expecting this guy to be picked up. So this guy's a free defender. So I don't think when they're teaching like the eyes of the running back, I don't think he's necessarily thinking of bouncing this way. But let me see the play going a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, again, in hindsight, is that what is open? Yeah. If you decide to cut it way backside, that would be open. That would probably be a big play. But again, how they coach this play, especially with the live read, that's not where it's designed to go. So I don't fault Edwards for.
It would have been a great play to make the adjustment.
100%, but yeah. it would be really unorthodox.
This is just another one of Michigan's inside zone runs just getting blown up by the defensive scheme.
Yeah. And because that live read is not there, again, it makes an unsuccessful run. I don't like running this sort of play without the live read because you're inherently giving the defense an advantage because they don't have to play the keep. They don't have to play this because this isn't live. It's not a live read at all. So you're able to come like hell down towards the running back here with no repercussions. This is the repercussion. That's not live. So if your only success is an unorthodox backwards cut here, that really will never be the design of the play. If that's the only way to be successful, it's not a good play design, right? Not having this live read inherently doesn't make it a good play. They're putting on film, right? They're putting on film to ensure that teams respect it probably. But yeah, it's a good thing to consider, but I don't think it's necessarily where you want to teach your running.
I have some foreshadowing. I remember you and I, there was a couple plays early in the year we watched, and then come late in the year, all of these other options start showing up from the same play, right? Now JJ is keeping it. Now JJ is keeping it, bootlegging and throwing to one of the receivers that was blocking and released once he left, right? Like once Michigan gets deeper into the season and starts opening up the playbook and such, you'll see some tendency breakers and you'll see more creative things coming from these plays they're running.
100%. Yep. You always want to be building on your base set. And
what a reference from Mark.
Brian Piccolo running the trap play. Oh, wow. Brian's song.
Yeah,
holy cow. That is.
Which, did you see how to say his name, by the way?
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, it's so good. Where did it go?
Yeah, we got to highlight that.
It's Kofsky. Maikovsky.
Yeah,
see, look.
Maikovsky.
I love Polish
names. That is so much more complicated than mine. Ostenkowski.
Yeah, you lucked out. I know a couple of folks that literally took some letters out of their name to try to make it a little better. So good stuff.
Wow. Maikovsky.
Thanks, Mark. I love that. We learned today. Appreciate you. Yeah.
We learned today. Great play here. Just a rocket arm. This has a little bit of everything when it comes to the JJ McCarthy experience, where he's able to reset the pocket here. He comes off his first read, resets the pocket, and then finds a really tight window to AJ Barner here. Again, I love these all 22 views that they show on the replay here. The initial look here looks to be towards the route combination of Tyler Morris and Colson Loveland. Loveland might have been able to he might have gotten penalized here. He pushes off a little bit on the wide receiver on his out route, and then you have sort of a fade route down the sideline for Morris. So I think the defense here for UNLV, if I'm correct, is head out to the flat here, deep third, and then in the middle. So that's what it looks like I'll go forward and back just to show the movement of the defense there. That seems to generally be where they're going. This top defender abandons the flat because of the route in front of him, so there's no one else going to be there. So in reality, could you have gotten a big play throwing to Blake Corum because this guy abandons the flat? Probably, right? But again, you have to look at where the eyes of JJ McCarthy are to really judge how this play went. So he's looking initially over to his left, likely to see what is the reaction here. He's able to see this guy dropping back into the deep third, so the fade doesn't seem like a good option. He probably sees that this is a little bit tied up. And at that point, he starts to feel a little bit of pressure, right? So now he ducks out and he's looking over. Now he's looking over at the middle of the field.
I'm glad that's so bad. Loveland.
Yeah, Loveland just shoves him. Absolutely demolishes him.
Look away, Illinois fans.
Yeah, right. So now he takes off, right? And JJ McCarthy's eyes are towards the middle of the field here. And this is a tight window, right? But he throws it to the correct side, right? You can't throw it over here because of this linebacker. In reality, is this maybe a better option? Maybe. But right, when you have a quarterback that can make all of the throws, and not just make all of the throws, but throw it to the open area, and give Barner a lot of credit here for drifting away, right? Finding that open spot. At the time of the catch, he's pretty equidistant between the two. So this is both JJ McCarthy throwing to the area for his tight end to drift to, and a veteran tight end in Barner recognizing that open space and drifting to that spot. So again, there are probably a couple options that could have worked, right? Having an open Cornelius Johnson, right? That probably would have worked. There's enough space there on that little hitch at the sticks that could have worked. But when you have an elite arm talent like that and tight ends who are on the same page and able to be clever in sitting between the zones, it works, right? And that's great from a passing game when you have maybe a plan B or plan C that could have worked out, but you're able to make plan A work out because of your talent, right? And he's able to do all of this processing and reading while he's feeling pressure, while he's stepping up in the pocket. He doesn't have to reset his move and place the ball perfectly, right? That takes a lot of confidence to put that ball, because if it's just a little bit inaccurate here on one side or the other, it's probably a pick, right? That's the only spot that ball can be comfortably for your tight end.
Speaking of confidence, that zebra standing in there, props, dude.
Yeah.
Look at this laser go right by my man's head. Like,
he's just shift away. Yeah, that's great.
No, I love the play. There's 3 receivers sitting at the sticks again, ready to get a first down. Nice check down option with Corum coming on the screen. And then if a defender makes a bad read, bites on Loveland, moves over to Barner, whatever, I've got a fly route coming down the sideline. Maybe I have a shot at a touchdown. So last year I complained a lot about the route trees. Early in the season, vanilla offense, I really like what the receivers are doing in terms of separation and finding space. Yeah.
All right, moving on here. 2nd and 2. This is finally, right? Finally, you get to see JJ McCarthy running the ball a little bit. And I really like doing this because, again, you don't have to do it all game, but all you have to do is do it once a game, right? Once a game, and that'll keep the defense. It'll make your job so much easier for the rest of the game. Now, one thing I'd like to see at the end of this play, just go out of bounds. He's a competitor, right? It's really, really
He's a
hard.
hockey player.
Yeah, really, really hard to teach that out of your quarterback when he sees the end zone, he wants to score, right? But we get to see Hibner get in here. I think that's Hibner, right? 88. He makes a good block here. So well-blocked play, right? But again, look at the gravity. We're talking about gravity. Corum gets straight up tackled here, right? This defensive end comes in, tackles him, makes the blocks really easy at the second level for both Hibner and Bredesen, right? They're able to get on those blocks really easily, and there's really no one to read, right? If you're reading everyone coming down really hard because you haven't kept all game. So the read is really easy for the keep here. I would argue it might have just been called to keep all the way because of how the defense was reacting throughout the day. So really good job here. Again, blocked as well as you can hope. And again, JJ McCarthy, it's got out of bounds, man. But yeah, I really loved that they opened this up just once, right? You don't need to continue to do it, but just threaten it once. It doesn't even need to be a big pickup. All you need is the defense to think about it. Make them think that there's a possibility that the reads are on, right? Establish that, and you're going to make your life so much easier for the rest of the game.
Just real quick, Mark asked, what do you guys think of Barner? Very solid in all phases, every play, like Tom Allen said. Yeah, so far, I mean, it's early. I do think he's going to be a better receiving threat than what we've seen.
Yeah.
But he is the only tight end currently that ranks in the top 15 in pass and run block in Power 5 conference. So
wow, he's
doing good there.
That's a great stat. Yeah. He hasn't made a bad impression on me, which is good. He seems extremely dependable. So when you're thinking of, maybe you won't flash, but he seems heady, especially on that last play of sitting in the middle of the zone, right? He doesn't make mistakes, and he seems to be more than adequate as a blocker. So when you're thinking about a tight end, he hasn't really had any drops that I can remember. Decent to good blocker. And that's about as good as you can be. So, and he's huge. Seeing him in person, I was like, wow, this guy's massive. So he's got the size. I know, I think I read a couple things in the offseason where he's pretty strong in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I have nothing but good things I've read and seen from his play thus far. All right. So moving on to the next one, we'll go another 15 minutes or so here into the second quarter here. This, nothing really to call out more than it's really difficult to judge goal line plays, like especially anything within the 3-yard line. This is just a wedge, right? And the wedge is just get some movement and then push. And they do a good job here getting under the defensive line and able to just get a little bit of movement. Once you get a little bit of movement, you're able to barrel into that and just keep that momentum going. So I think it's something that Michigan has struggled with, especially in the first game, right? A couple of short yardage gains at the goal line or on a couple fourth downs haven't gone their way. To me, it's hard to really judge that clearly. I think as you're able to add a little bit more variability, especially in the red zone, it's not something Michigan wants to do, right? You don't want to show all of your key red zone plays against, again, a UNLV or in your non-conference play. So it's just not something that that lends you a lot of wiggle room when you're doing a dive. Of course, you want to get it every time, but a lack of variability in what you want to show will kind of limit these sorts of looks. So this one, again, good movement. And hopefully with more reps, you can continue to replicate this a little bit more than some of the recent sort of wedge dive struggles that we've seen.
And I'll be interested to see when Michigan starts playing better teams, if, ECU and UNLV weren't exactly trying to even push the O-line back. Right.
Sure.
They're coming sideways. They're going low. They're just trying to fill gaps enough that one of these two defenders that get left alone can get to Corum versus, a straight up push battle where we've seen Michigan just kind of march into the end zone.
True.
So, yeah, I'm with you, but Michigan will always do it, but it's not going right.
This is another one. Again, not a whole lot to comment on this from like an overall play design, just a play action pass, except for, again, the trajectory of your defensive backs. So one coachable area here, again, is body language, right? Trying to read and react to how this wide receiver is going to react after the catch, right? It's hard. And you, at a certain point, you have to either decide I'm going all out to try and tackle him, or I'm going to break down, watch his reaction, and limit this at 7-8 yards instead of a 12-yard pickup, right? And that's something that I think Wallace just made the wrong call here, right? Where there's just a little bit too much space for him to definitively come flying down and make that decision, right? If you're a couple yards closer, then yeah, you can continue on that path and try to take him out right after the catch. But he's too far away here to continue on this trajectory. He needs to leave time to react to this wide receiver, right? I think this one's even more difficult than the one we saw earlier today with Quentin Johnson, where this guy has truly a lot more options. He could continue on his route, right? His route was taking him this way. He could continue on that, and that's the path that you saw Wallace take here. He could go this way. There's a lot more ground to cover here. And for that reason, the answer isn't take a path. It's, again, you need to sometimes gather information. Of course, that means you might be sacrificing a couple yards, but sacrificing 1 or 2 more yards to make a secure tackle before the first down is better than a 15-yard pickup, right? So, again, these are just little things that without your starting cornerback in Will Johnson, right? Sometimes you need to give up a little bit of yards and recognize when you're playing, when you're hedging instead of trying to make the big hit or big tackle. So just little things.
I think Dylan makes a great call out here, though. I think the first mistake is the zone read right here.
Sure.
Right. So I think he thinks the receiver's going to the sideline, and then, so he's getting burned twice in his reads there. And yeah, this is a Don Brown corner, buddy. He's used to being on an island. So
that's true. But yep. Yeah. And that's the other thing, where getting those live reps, right? Just being comfortable in the zone. If your bread and butter is man to man, and
mistakes on film are a good thing.
They are.
And coaches are salivating at this.
They are. They're saying,
easy W, and we got all this good stuff to work on. Great.
Exactly. All right, 1st and 10 here. And this is one of 2 sacks in a row, I believe. This one's Jalen Harrell. This one, just a good pass rush, right? You got who is that? Quentin Johnson off the edge. Is that Quentin Johnson? Yep, Quentin Johnson off the edge. Not able to wrap up. Again, you'd like to see him be able to just break down a little bit, right? He gets faked out a little bit by that pump fake. And again, these are just like minor little things, right? That little pump fake, just break down a little bit, right? You don't need to come flying in right here. It's better with all of this space, all of the options, again, for the quarterback here, just slow down just a little bit and then be able to react to that movement. Instead, he's coming, hell bent on that one trajectory and just a little bit too hot to make the secure tackle. And then this is just good play from Jalen Harrell, right? He's making the heady play here, right? The play action here, their hope is this takes everyone out of the play, right? And you're able to reset your quarterback here with the misdirection. You have these wide receivers running out this way, and I believe their goal is probably on a little swing pass here out of the backfield for the second running back. But with the blitz off the edge, right, the quarterback's trying to deke him, make him move. So give credit at least a little bit to Quentin Johnson for getting him off balance. And then because Jalen Harrell's able to keep his eyes up, right, he's headed down off the backside, recognizes, he doesn't have it, and redirects and is able to make the play in the backfield. So good job stopping on the dime. I don't think we think of Jalen Harrell as a great athlete, but his ability here to be screaming down the line, stop, reset, evaluate, he breaks down right here, right? Again, a lot of options for the quarterback. He's reading, he's open to all of these different possibilities. He's able to react. Boom. As soon as he recognizes he's off balance, wrap him up, take him down. So just good play, right? This is a good blitz call for what the offensive play call. Again, sometimes the defense is going to just get the offense by nature of calling the right blitz. But in this case, it's a good reaction from Jalen Harrell as well to finish the sack.
And another one of those, again, whether you want to call it a 3-4 or the 5-man fronts too.
Yeah.
Just what those 3 defensive tackles can do up front has such a massive impact on the pass rush, whether they're the ones creating the pressure, getting there, or allowing the edges to do work.
Sure.
Really impressive in this game.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, moving on. We'll do, let's say 2 more, and then we'll have to do a part 2. This is a long one.
Part D.
All right, and here's Jalen Harrell, this time comboing with Michael Barrett on the blitz. And Michael Barrett, one of, if not the best blitzer in Michigan recent history, at least. But this time he's acting as, again, kind of like that fullback. He's leading the way, where his goal here is to work in conjunction with Jalen Harrell, set up this defensive end really well. And I like how they're doing this because Jalen Harrell, his strength isn't pass rush, right? He's not the guy who's going to come screaming around the edge. That's just not his skill set. But you have to recognize that we saw in the previous one, his change of direction is pretty good, right? He doesn't have elite bend off the edge, but he can execute timing, technique. He's a very heady player. He can time things well. That works really well with his stunt. Michael Barrett's job, engage this tackle, make it easier for Jalen Harrell to get off the butt here. And then after Michael Barrett engages the tackle, take on the running back, make the running back commit to you, and that'll leave Jalen Harrell wide open into the backfield. So really smart player. I mean, Michael Barrett, one of the most experienced Wolverines, right, ever. I think is it his 6th year? I mean,
yeah.
He's 6th year. So he knows how to run a stunt. And just this little push here.
Play as many games as Brad Hawkins, but
yeah. But nice little push there, right? Look at that affects that left tackle. Just gets him off bounds a little bit more. Leaves that much extra space for Jalen Harrell to cut off that. And then, the running back sees a free-flowing Michael Barrett. I mean, this is admittedly a bad job from a blitz pickup for UNLV, right? They had this guy blocking air. He could have been picking this up, right? So there are certain things where, this is a little bit easier for for Michigan than it could be. But also it's credit for how Michigan is aligning, right? You also have to give credit where look at what Michigan is threatening, right? And having the personnel of a Josiah Stewart as well as Chris Jenkins and another body here, right? UNLV thinks they have to really commit to that side. Now, do they overcommit? Yes, but even so, they're dropping. I'm sorry, it's Derek Moore. They're dropping Derek Moore out into coverage. They're bringing a bunch of odd looks here to bring chaos. So will that work against all opponents? No, but it's a clever little stunt, and it takes advantage of your skill sets that you do have in different edge players. In this case, running a well-timed, good technique stunt out of Jalen Harrell picks up a sack here on 3rd and 13.
The fact Mason Graham is there at the finish.
Yeah.
Like, there's 3 dudes on him.
How does he get there? I didn't even notice that.
He's unbelievable,
he's fighting through 2 bodies, able to disengage there. His feet never stop moving. There's 3 guys.
Get off me.
Yeah. He's a madman. Yeah. Yeah. This is an even better view of Mason Graham. It doesn't really make sense, right? Like the other angle shows how much leverage he's able to get. Oops, I lost the play. There we go. He's getting so much depth here, and it's all in the feet. Look at how much leverage he's able to get and how much power is coming through those big steps. He's really motoring through, and my calves are burning just those steps. He has so much power behind him. He gets a pancake out of it. It's crazy. Yeah, it's a good call out.
He's pretty good.
All right, last play of the day, and then I'll be back later this week for part 2. But here we are. Oh man. Okay, I'm glad we're ending on this one because it's
throw of the day.
Such a pretty. There might be another one. There's another throw. I'll tag you on it tomorrow. I'll clip it up for you, just for you, Trevor, to show you my favorite throw of the day. This is my second favorite throw of the day, but probably the best window of the day. And this is a good angle of it as well. And I love this angle because you get to see the eyes here of JJ McCarthy as well. So pretty much exclusively, he's looking at this safety and reading to see if how quickly this safety will be reacting over to this quick flag route out of Cornelius Johnson, or maybe that's an out route. I think it's kind of between a flag and out route. But yeah, man, this is just an NFL throw, right? And there's not a big window there, but that's exactly where the ball has to be. And I feel like it's something where, again, you have to really trust your arm, right? You have to really trust your arm. Are there better options, right? Are there better options on this play? Probably not, right? But I feel like in previous years, you probably would have seen him maybe be a little bit more nervous about this guy, right? This guy drifting back. Maybe he would have thought about this guy going back and then dump it off to Colson Loveland for a couple of yards, and that would have been fine, right? But this is a future NFL quarterback making a dart throw right where it has to be. He had 13 straight completions on the day in this game. So
it was like 15 in the first game and 13 in this one.
Yeah. So
to start the game, he had 13. Yeah.
So again, the technique, right? You look at the footwork here. Everything is comfortable. Everything is comfortable. Easy, really good blocks here up front. Pass protection is there. So again, when your offense is dealing like this and you have a quarterback with the supreme accuracy and confidence to make that throw, again, sometimes the offense just wins regardless of what the defense is doing. Good luck defending that. I don't care who you are. Good luck. Good luck, because Cornelius Johnson runs a pretty good route as well. So not much you can do except just tip your cap to the offense in certain situations, and this is one of them.
And I get some people's concern about that corner maybe being a factor. You know, there's a couple of comments about if this was against a better team or whatever. You can't do that because you don't know JJ is going to make the same choice.
That's true.
He's going to read that corner differently. And also some of the angles make that player look closer than he is.
Yeah.
Like in terms of being able to make a play on the ball. So there's a lot of if, but then you can do with that kind of stuff. But what I love is this is another situation where it's first down. We're only going to bring 3 on you. And JJ doesn't have a pocket. He has a separate field to stand in.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to take this shot.
Yep.
So, God, man, he's just, that's the story for me. I know I get a kick out of everybody wanted Michigan to pass the ball more and be more balanced. And now they're not getting enough carries. And again, if you compare the stats to last year and the non-con, it's not that different, but everybody feels like, oh, now the run game's falling off. Well, pick, man.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and this is a good moment for Cornelius, right? Good route, steals the catch.
Yep, doing his job. So yeah, again, when the offense is clicking,
out.
Yeah, when the offense is clicking, the offense is clicking. Okay,
that's just confidence too, man.
Yeah, it exudes confidence.
It's like when you're playing golf and all your putts are going in, you start feeling pretty good about some of the longer ones, right? That's what it was JJ had some swagger and felt like screw it.
That's it, man. He just went for it.
All right, Toski.
All right.
And as always, Toski's got more to go into. Obviously, we're just at the tip of the second. So if you want to know, this is.
Oh, what'd I do?
I don't know. It was really close on me here.
I pressed.
Oh,
now it's just me.
I'm the little guy. Hey.
There we go. Now we're back. Okay. I clicked the wrong one.
So good.
I just wanted to zoom in on you, Trevor. Give the people what they wanted.
Face for radio. Anyway, you're obviously watching us on YouTube. Make sure you're liking and subscribing, notification bell, so you know when Toski goes live. If not, we've got our Twitter handles up. He does a really good job of scheduling these in advance and throwing out the link ahead of time so you can come in and subscribe and get the bell ready to go so you can join him whenever he decides to go live. We give him that freedom. The secondary Toski nights are always the fun ones, right?
Yeah. Tomorrow we'll see. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or Thursday. It'll probably be a late night Toski. We'll see.
Late night Toski.
That's it.
Sounds like a beverage.
It does. Ooh, yeah. There we go. A new beverage line. Late night Toski.
After the show, I'm gonna go make myself a Toski.
And then an afternoon Trevor. No, it doesn't roll off the tongue. We need to figure out one for you. Twilight Trevor. There you go.
Twilight Trevor.
We got it. I think we're slap happy. I think that means
I'm a little tired. It's been a long day.
It's time for bed.
Well, you're the GOAT. No cap. Another great show, bud. Appreciate you. So make sure you catch Toski second half of this sometime this week. Otherwise, again, we shoot for Sundays. If not, we'll make sure we're always letting you guys know if we go to like a Tuesday. And appreciate everybody. Oh, crap.
Barbecue.
A little,
That's pretty good.
a little BBMCQ. All
There
right.
you go.
There we go. I was just gonna say we appreciate the comments and all sincerity. Sincerity. Damn, dude, let's get through this. Ready? We really appreciate or strive for a community involved Michigan coverage, right? Whether it's at michigan.rivals.com, if it's in our message board, the Den, whether it's on this show, Cut Ups, whether it's on Hail to the Podcast on Sunday, Dennis's show. We want you guys in the comments asking questions, having conversation. That this is your show. We never want you to feel like we're talking at you, right? We're talking with you. I really love Toski's story about how he even got into this, right? Like this was not a thing you were a fan of, and you just started watching episodes and shows like this and learning and getting better at it. So maybe we got some future Toskis watching you today, learning from you, Wizard.
Yeah, man. We're all here to learn, right? We're all here to learn.
Your green screen is tripping me out right now.
It's losing its mind.
What is going on there?
I don't know. I think it's getting darker. I don't know. It's losing its mind.
Anyway.
But no, we're all here to learn, all here to enjoy Michigan football. Just get deeper into the weeds. That's kind of how I like to describe it. Just get deeper into the weeds, learn more. It's fun. Just fun.
And you always catch something I miss, so it's always fun. I appreciate that. But
yeah, it's a good time.
All right, everyone. Like I said, thank you. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and we will see you. Well, you'll see Toski soon, but see us both soon, hopefully, on the next episode of Cut Ups.